the Podcast Partnership Mindset Scorecard. Now, I've hit this in the past, done episodes of the podcast report about it, but never really put it into one episode or one segment. And I want to put it together for use at the website and for distribution elsewhere. So I'm putting this out across all the streaming engines, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if there's any interaction. We'll see if there's that kind of thing. But mostly I'm trying to get some raw video for our editor to put together and build from. So there we go. It is the Mindset Scorecard. Let's get to work. The Mindset Scorecard, it is a tool that comes from Strategic Coach. And the idea for the Mindset Scorecard is you build a scorecard of the mindset, hence the name, for how your organization works. Two different people looking to accomplish the same task with very different mindsets are not going to see good results. They're going to find themselves in a situation where, although one thinks one thing, the other might think something else because they are of different mindsets. You know, I could go to a bar. Let's start over again. This is the beauty of getting some video ready to put to the website. The Mindset Scorecard, it is a scorecard for figuring out if we have the same mindset. It is a tool from Strategic Coach. It's something we've been using for a while, and thrilled to have it. I've chatted about this in the past. I've written about this in the past, made episodes on the podcast report about this in the past. But I want to do one quick video here to go over the Mindset Scorecard in its entirety. So the Mindset Scorecard is an 8x12 matrix that is simply the 8 mindsets that we have, and then the 1 through 12 in score, and then sort of the 4 areas of these mindsets and what they mean in such a way that, we can decide if we have the same mindset. So I'll give you the first example. The first mindset that we have, one of the things big for us here at the Podcast Partnership, is the idea of podcast gold. On one end of the Mindset Scorecard, I'd like to throw things at the wall and see what sticks. That's not what we do. We don't podcast for the heck of it. We don't podcast to find ourselves or that type of thing. We go in for podcast gold. The other end of the matrix, and if the scorecard, if you take a look at it, the other end of the matrix is if I'm not being strategic about my show, I'm not doing it. And everybody's going to find themselves somewhere between one of these two ends, giving themselves a total score somewhere between 1 and 12. Where are you in the world of podcast gold? Is this something that you're experimenting with, or is this something that you're going into to figure out what this is going to be? Podcast seasons. We're a big fan of podcast seasons of the Podcast Partnership. This idea that we get up every morning and just start producing content because it's Wednesday morning, time for the content, or a new interview came through, is absolutely ridiculous. So on the 1, 2, 3 area, we have seasons or old media, unnecessary, not worth the effort. This idea that my podcast is just there for me to just produce and to shoot out the door and make sure it happens, that's sort of the low end of the Mindset Scorecard. The higher end of the Mindset Scorecard is that the season model lets me produce the best possible content and provide a narrative of impact for my audience. See, by doing a season, you can have, let's say you have 10 issues for your season. You could have episode 1 about issue 1, episode 2 about issue 2, episode 3 about episode 3, and you provide them an arc. It's no longer, this is what I've got for you this week. It's more of an issue of, this is where we're going, this is where we're taking you. If you are into your podcast to just, for lack of a better term, see what happens, we're not of the same mindset. If you want to take them to a specific place, and seasons is a way to do that, we are of the same mindset. The next episode of the Mindset Scorecard is the issue of technology. I have been podcasting since before it was cool. The first book, as you know, came out a couple of years before the iPhone did. I was in podcasting before Apple even embraced it in the iTunes narrative, but yet podcast technology is huge for us and has changed a lot and has gotten better, and it's something that we want to embrace. So in the technology, on the low end is, I don't understand how technology can help my show. Isn't my show the technology that we're using? All the way through the high end of technology is here to serve me. Smart use of technology makes me money and saves me money at the same time. That's how we approach things when it comes to the tech of what's in front of us. Do we want to do AI cleaning? Do we want to do high definition streaming? Do we want to take what's in front of us and do cool things with it? Podcast technology, we're big in that here at the partnership. The fourth concept is the concept of who versus how. And this is a concept that actually also comes out of Strategic Coach. The idea is that you should be looking for the who to do things for you as opposed to the how to do things for you. Yes, I have the book, How to Podcast. And if that's where you're at, that's great. But the book's out there. Pick it up. Figure out how to podcast. What we do is here, we become the who. On the low end, if I don't know how to do this, I can never make sure it's done correctly. The project is too important for me not to know. The idea there is I got to get my grubby little fingers in this. I have to go in deep. I got to twist all the dials, push all the buttons, make all these things happen. Who versus how low end. Who versus how high end. I want a who's uniquely gifted to make every element of my podcast happen. Believe it or not, most of our happiest clients are not the clients who get up in the morning and go, I'm getting my podcast out the door, but are the clients who know that the right who, and in this particular case, with our clients, it's us, the right who is doing the podcast, leveraging the tech, leveraging the seasons, going for the podcast goal that all comes together. So you're looking for the how do I conquer this podcasting beast, or who is going to take on the podcasting for me. That's the first 4 of the mindsets. How are you scoring so far? Number 5, effort versus strategy. There's this idea in podcasting where the harder we work, the more effort we put in, the more sleep we lose, the more sweat we sweat, the show becomes better. Effort versus strategy on the low end for us, the more time I spend on my podcast, the better it's going to be. Not necessarily so. The more strategic I am about content creation, the better the show is going to be. See, it's not about the podcast, it's about the content. It's about your audience. It's about looking for content goals. So where are you on that spectrum of a scale of 1 to 12? Content versus sound quality. There's this idea that when you do your podcast, when your podcast is done, if it doesn't sound like NPR, you did something wrong. Well, on the low end, the better the sound, the better the show. All the way to more an issue of content versus sound quality. More impact will come from my content. My team will worry about the sound. Again, that's the who versus the how. Not freaking out about the microphone, not freaking out about the mic technique, not freaking about the room, but freaking out, if anything, about the content that you're trying to get to your client. One of the things we see in podcasting all the time is it's Wednesday, time to get a new episode out. Nope. We are assets versus episodes. See, on the low end of assets versus episodes, the audience only wants the latest and greatest from me. Back catalog's irrelevant. I'm chatting about this week in X. But if it's assets versus episodes, if you're building stuff that gets listened to for a long time, I don't create podcast episodes. I create media assets. Our clients have podcasts 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old that are still getting listened to on a regular basis. And we have some clients that see less than 1 out of every 5 episodes downloaded in any given month come from content that was released that month. See, they produced assets, not just episodes. And then finally, impact versus downloads. People call all the time and say, I want downloads, I want downloads, I want downloads. You don't want downloads, you want impact. You know that, I know that, but let's chat about that mindset. Downloads are the only thing that matters for my podcast. The more people that download, the more people that listen, the more people that consume, the more people that get my ideas, the more people that take action, all those things. Whereas the high end, my only metric is impact. And I know what that means to me. And I know how to track it. A lot of us think, well, all we got in podcasting is downloads. By the way, not true. So therefore, that's the only metric I'm looking at. No, we have a strategy. We have a process. We have a purpose. We have a mindset that we'd like you to go through. So that is the Mindset Scorecard. If you don't have a copy of the Mindset Scorecard, you can head out to headsuptuesday.com. That will sign you up for the Heads Up Tuesday newsletter. One of the things you get when you sign up is an automatic download of the Mindset Scorecard. It's just a PDF document. If you've gotten it other ways, maybe below this video or something, that's a fine way to do it. Fill it out. It's an interesting way. You got a possibility of a score between, 0 and 96. Obviously, 0 means we don't agree about anything. Let's not work together. We don't have the same mindset. Whereas if you're in the high 80s and 90s, we are thinking the exact same lines. We have the exact same things that are important to us, and that mindset is going to take us places. So anyway, that's the Mindset Scorecard. I just wanted to try to hit it in less than 10 minutes, and I think I did, and I'm thrilled for it. A couple of you are watching this live. If any questions pop up quickly, I can actually answer those questions inside of this. If not, we'll just let these go to all the live networks and go from there. I love this tool. I love the Mindset Scorecard. I'm really proud of what it means and what it's done for our clients, and it's helped people focus onto what it is that's happening in podcasting. That's a very, very cool tool. I appreciate the team over at Strategic Coach for delivering these tools and other tools that make these things so very, very cool. Thank you much for listening. I hope you are able to work with somebody in podcasting who has the same mindset as you, because that's where the real action happens. Thank you so much. Have a great